My name is Vanilla Mary, and I will be presenting my STEM Fair final project, Crack the Code. The overall project is basically like a puzzle. You have to crack the code. The language that is used in this project is Java. I chose this project because it was pretty difficult for me, but the overall outcome was pretty cool. Because there are restrictions on what numbers to put into the code is what made it pretty cool once you figure out those numbers. When you put the numbers into the system, you have to match the requirements so that you'll be able to crack the code. The problem that's being solved is basically the code. When you start the code, you have to put in your name and you have to say yes that you're ready. That is the only way it's going to be able to let you put in the numbers. And when you figure out those numbers, then you're able to crack the code. The coding techniques that were used are if statements, else statements, strings, and more. Now a demonstration. You type in your name. You have to say yes. You have to figure out the numbers. And now it tells you that you've cracked the code. If you don't put in the correct numbers, it will also tell you that you are incorrect. And if you got the first number wrong, then you won't be able to move on to the next one until you get the correct number. I believe that the code itself is a strength because I'm not the best in this field, but I figured out how to input the code and it worked because, if it didn't, there would be no demonstration. The code was able to be cracked once the right numbers were put in. So me inputting the correct code is what's able for you to put in the right numbers to crack the code. Once again, since I believe that this isn't my best field, I had a couple problems with getting it to work because I would either miss a comma or I would input something wrong as far as like spelling or something. So it was and it would just make it an error. And that was something that was pretty challenging. But if I had a chance to redo the code, I would find a simple way to write the code so that someone who doesn't know how to code sees the code, they will probably be able to understand without looking at the demonstration. One thing that I learned from tech, two females came from George Mason in the computer science field, came into our class and talked about how there aren't really many females in the computer science industry or the tech industry in general. And I also learned that this year, my 12th grade year, in our AP computer science class, it kind of broke me a little bit because females can do this. And so I think that the strength would be my code because once again, coding isn't something that I am the best at, but I've learned a lot in the past 3 years. Something that I can prove is double checking to make sure that everything is correct and just remembering in general. You tend to forget like the simple things, and if you double check, then you'll be able to get it on the first try. But if you don't, then it can be a spelling error, an input error, or a comma error, a semicolon error. There's many errors that could be made. So the most challenging thing to me would be adhesive itself, because once you're stuck, you just can't move on. And also another thing would be like remembering simple code, because in some codes you have to repeat the same thing over and over, but sometimes you forget or a spelling is wrong. So then it's just wrong. So then you can't really move on with the code until you debug that certain code. I may not be using coding in the future, but having this knowledge could help me with others if they need my help, or if my job requires me to have this skill on hand, but that's not the job I'm actually going to do, I know that I can do it because McKinley Tech taught me a lot of things. So my job could use me since I have that skill in the back of my head. Thank you for listening to my project. And once again, my name is Vanilla Mary, and this is my STEM Fair final project.